right, welcome in, everyone. Thanks for coming out, listening to this panel. My name is Cory Fleck. I'm the president and host of the Korelin Economics Report. We're a radio show that goes into the U.S., podcasts, daily editorials focused on kind of the broader markets as well as resources. The title of this presentation, or I guess it's not a presentation, but the roundtable, is not that. It is more what these guys are investing in. One thing to be clear is that we're not saying go all out right now. We'll kind of go through that later. Let me introduce these guys. David Erfle, the junior Miner Junky. Mickey Fulp, Mercenary Geologist. Brent Cook, Exploration Insights with Joe Mazumdar as well as his partner. All excellent newsletters. If you guys don't read them already, at least subscribe to some of their services. Get a feeling for what they're writing about. All of the stocks that we're going to be talking about here, I will be asking you guys to please tell us if you do hold an equity position. That's what everybody wants to know. First and foremost, though, we're going to focus on some of the bigger stories that are actually capturing some attention in this market. There aren't many of them, so this will probably go pretty quickly. But the first one that I do want to ask your guys' opinion about, David, we'll start with you, is what's going on in Australia with the whole Novo story, the Karratha area. That stock ran a lot last year. It's still held a lot of its gains, but there's still a lot of question marks out there. Please tell us what you think.
Well, the market cap still is still pretty high for what they have, but it's the potential of what they have which keeps the market cap where it is. I know there's a company here called Pacton Gold. They've claimed that they've staked about 1,000 kilometers in the Pilbara as well, and their market cap is getting pretty high. Also, they just raised some money, and but the Novo story is still very interesting, and they've still got a long way to go to prove what the market thinks they might have. And the Comet Well property, they're trenching right now. There's trenching results that are bulk samples that are due pretty soon. I think in a couple weeks. The share price is really held up there, and we'll see what happens from there. But everybody should be rooting for this story, because if it is what Quentin says it is, then it has a chance to spark the whole sector.
So for anybody that has been following Novo, they're having a lot of trouble exactly figuring out how they're going to explore this property or just move straight into test mining. But Mickey, again, your kind of thoughts on not necessarily just Novo, but this general area play. There's been a lot of interest in a lot of companies that are now promoting it. Is there legs to this?
Well, it's hard to say, and it's not my style. So I'm not interested in stocks that I view as overvalued at the particular time based on pure speculation. So I'd rather go and find the 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 cent stock that has the ability to return a 10 bagger or a 5 bagger versus something that's already returned a 5 or 10 bagger and has not only gone up exponentially, but it has come back down parabolically. So stocks that go up exponentially or any financial instrument will go parabolic. I've not been on the ground there, so I cannot assess the geological potential. All I know is what I read, and it's one of these deposits. It's so nuggety, it's going to be very hard to evaluate. So I guess my thought is, from what I know, Quentin Hennig's sitting on $70 million. Why the hell doesn't he just go mine it at this point and throw and roll the dice? But that's me.
Hey, that's a strategy. He is saying, in all fairness, Quentin is saying that he might even do that. Again, this is just kind of a story that captured everyone's attention last year, and now there's still almost a land rush going on there. Quick comments there. Brent, what do you think about this whole play?
I was there in August. It's incredible what they've come up with in terms of finding a Archean aged, and it is a placer deposit, and that therein lies the problem, in that this is a metamorphosed placer deposit, and the question becomes, how do you actually put together a resource so you can throw some sort of valuation on these? And the only way they can do it is to mine it, which, if you do that, I find it hard to believe you're going to get a $500 million valuation, because there's enough variability in the horizons that have mineralization that you cannot extrapolate very far. So in terms of making money, yes, I think you could probably make money mining it as a placer deposit. In terms of a share play, I think it's too late, like Mickey.
Does it have the potential of driving this market, getting some more attention into the juniors?
I don't think so. I think we've seen it. It's gone from a blue sky story to a show me story. The show me bit's going to be a real bitch.
Okay, yeah, that show me stage can really take some time, can't it?
I hate that bit.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Hey, I'm from Missouri, and you got to show me. So,
another area of play, or I guess a couple stocks that are moving, whether you follow them or not, are happening in Nevada, and that's Northern Empire and Corvus. Both stocks have completely bucked the trend of this boring market just moving sideways. I believe you were just on site with Northern Empire. Let's start again with you then, David. What was your takeaway from Northern Empire, but the general, again, area?
I am a shareholder in both Novo and Northern Empire. After I saw the site visit, I bought some more shares. I really like the management team. The management team has been successful in the past of building companies and selling them. Doug Hurst, who put the company together, put together International Royalty and sold it for a nice premium, and then put together New Market Gold and sold that for a very nice premium. And I think he's got the potential to do it again with this one. The land package is very large in Nevada, one of the best places to be, 141 square kilometers. They've got all the water rights tied up. There's already a historic resource of close to 1,000 ounces, 100,000 ounces, a million ounces, 700 in the Crown Block and 300 at the Sterling Mine, which they actually have an operating leach pad, and they're producing about an ounce a day, which covers the care and maintenance for the little leaching process. And the Crown Block property looks very interesting. I know some of you might be familiar with Corvus Gold. They have control of the Mother Lode pit, which is in the center of Northern Empire's claims, and they're currently drilling it, coming up with some nice grades, and their market cap is around 300 million. And Northern Empire's land claims dwarf it, and the Northern Empire market cap, the share price took a hit today, and I think it's around 75 million, and they have 16 million cash, and they're going to be drilling through the year and up until October. They have 2/3 of the program finished, 1/3 of the assays have been released, and there's another third in the lab. And they've been coming up with some very good hits in the Daisy area. And I really like this story. I really like the management team. They own 11% of the stock. It's tightly held. It's a tight share structure. And I said, it's in Nevada.
There's a lot of news driving this area, too. That's the thing. There's a lot of drilling that's been going on. And investors have been paying attention, which is encouraging. Mickey, what do you think? Do you follow either of these stocks?
Well, I know the management of both companies. I know the ground. It's in Nevada. I've been working off and on in Nevada for 40 years now. So I'm an old guy. Here's what I know. These stocks have already run. And I want to find the next Northern Empire or the next Corvus Gold that I can buy at 10 or 20 or 30 cents and play the upside on that. I don't see the advantage of buying speculative stocks that have already had their run. And I can argue that both these companies, Corvus with a $300 million market cap, do a valuation of Corvus. It's a good company. Jeff Pontius, good guy. I know Jeff, a good geologist, a good CEO. But what's the upside on that? And there's a significant downside risk on all these stocks that have these fairly high speculative values. So later on, maybe you'll ask me what I'm buying or what I like in Nevada, and I'll give you a couple of ideas that haven't run yet.
Okay. Now, I realize this is not your strategy, though, Mickey, but should these kind of stocks be on someone's radar when there is a speculative interest that comes in and it does sell off, sometimes 50, 70%, should you at least be watching them?
Well, you would expect 61.8% retrenchment in any stock that's gone exponential. So, yeah, I think both these companies are good companies. They have legitimate deposits. Certainly at Northern Empire, there's significant upside potential that remains to be tested. So, yeah, put them on your radar screen. But once again, I like finding the penny stocks that can go from 10 cents to $1 or 10 cents to 50 cents versus stocks that are trading at $1 and you're looking for them with an equivalent return of going to $5 or $10.
Okay.
Simple as that.
This is kind of an interesting panel in that sense because David very much, again, follows these stories as they progress. He looks at technicals to trade them, and he is very much an active trader. Mickey over here, he's looking for that penny stock and that 10 bagger. Brent, you get on a lot of these sites too. You're not really the one to look for that 1 cent stock and ride it to $1. You like stories that are a bit more developed.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
We bought Evrim Resources at 10 cents. It's at $1.25 now. And I don't disagree with what Mickey said in regard to these particular stocks. Mm-hmm. I think both of those you need to look real hard at what the strip ratio is going to be. But philosophically, I don't agree with what Mickey was saying about once the stocks run, it's time to move on to something else. Because you would miss Voisey's Bay, you'd miss Arequipa, you'd miss Mariana, you'd miss Aurelian. I mean, there's all those things you'd miss. So I think really what's important, from my perspective, is to evaluate something as the data come in and make a decision at that point. Is this overvalued, or is somebody missing something, and this thing's got like 10 million ounces as opposed to the one that we see? So I think philosophically that's how I go about it.
Yeah. And in all fairness, those are the best stocks to be in, ones that are actually building a company, because it's hard to buy at the bottom and sell at the top. We've all written it up, we've all written it down. It's nice when the company actually gives you an exit by selling the company and actually building something.
I would argue that when they double, you sell half, take your money off the table.
Yeah.
You can still play the upside and go find the next one. If you look at any junior 52-week running high and low, you will have on the great majority a double. So all you need to do is buy them when they're unknown, unloved, unwanted, and undervalued. And that's what we try to do in my newsletter.
Which again, that strategy has worked great for especially the last year and a half when the stocks haven't really gone anywhere, but they've traded in this range. So be following stories closely and have a time frame that takes some time for these things to double, and make sure you get out. Don't get too greedy all the time. What about some news that's going to be coming out? Again, the market, not a whole lot of people are paying attention, but last year there was a lot of interest that came into the Golden Triangle. Stocks went up, some didn't join, a lot joined in. We're about to get into that drilling season right now. Mickey, you first. Anything in the Golden Triangle you like? Do you like that area at all?
No.
Okay. Why not? What do you think? Too
It's
expensive?
very remote. It's expensive to operate. The only recently developed mine is well on its way to failure. It's got a last time I've looked, and maybe they paid off a little bit of debt, but it's got $439 million in debt, and you do the math, and it can't pay that debt off with the cash flow anticipated. So if you take the best deposit that's ever been found in the Golden Triangle, which is arguably the Pretium outside of SK Creek, which is mine done, 25 years ago. If they can't make it at Pretium, then what's going to make it? I would much rather go to Nevada, to Idaho, to places where I can drive big reverse circulation or core rigs right up to my drill target and do exploration at 1/3 to 1/5 the cost it takes doing helicopter exploration in Golden Triangle.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I do actually agree a lot with what Mickey had to say there. It's very expensive up there, but there was some speculative money that came in. There's some stories that built a bit more of a fundamental story. We'll see how they play out. Quick comment, Brent, what do you think of the Golden Triangle?
It's an incredibly mineralized and altered area. In terms of the juniors, ignoring the bigger companies, I'm yet to see anything that really tells me it's economic. Your costs are going to be high. You know, GT Gold has some great hits, but it's kind of shattered. Garibaldi's I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But I've yet to see something that really makes me want to jump in and say, there's something new that's going to work.
Okay. Hey, something to keep in mind, absolutely. Do you want to quickly comment on that, David, or anything to add?
I like one company here that's there that's in the golden triangle. It's undervalued. It does have some infrastructure. They do have some cash. They're going to be raising more. Dolly Varden Silver. You might want to go talk to them. But nothing else.
No. Okay. Mickey, you even mentioned Idaho. There has been renewed interest in Idaho. Let's talk about Idaho. Brent, you first, though. What do you think about the whole Idaho play?
He was all ready to jump in.
He was.
You're just gonna.
He's going to steal all your thunder.
That's okay. We have
I'm not
some
going to.
agreement about Idaho.
We might not. Midas Gold is certainly the best undeveloped gold deposit certainly in the States and maybe North America. It's a long permitting horizon, but that's something to keep your eye on. I've been to other deposits up there, and I did not buy the stock.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it at that.
Mickey, let's hear it.
Well, I own 2 stocks in Idaho, and one of them is not Midas, although I have owned Midas in the past, and I do that tax loss season buying and selling routine and done quite well. But I'll agree with Brent regarding Midas. I think it's the best undeveloped gold deposit in North America. I own Revival Gold. I do not cover Revival Gold, but that's the Barrick Track mine. That stock's trading about mid-60s right now, and drilling or soon to be drilling. And the other stock that I own and until recently covered and likely will cover again at some point is the new Integra 2.0, great management team, currently trading in the low 90s, and that would be very near its historic low. They got 3.5 million ounces and are drilling in the midst of a 20,000 meter drill program right now, and I expect good results. So in Idaho, those would be my 2
That's
picks.
not 10 cents, though.
Yeah, it's more than
True.
10 cents. Good point, Brent. Thank
True,
you.
very good
I appreciate
point.
that.
But I said it was near its 52-week low, and so the trading range, it started trading in early November. Trading range has varied from right around 90 cents to $1.35, so it's not cheap, but 3.5 million ounces of gold, open pitable, and a lot of that was reserves left over from when Kinross operated it and shut down in about year 2000. They're drilling. We expect that resource to increase.
Okay. There's opportunities out there, and even as Mickey's pointing out, even in a slow market, watch the range, trade the range, because you can make some money and you're staying active and up to date. David, any comments on Idaho?
Well, Mickey just took all the words out of my mouth because I'm in both of those stocks as well. And I really like the management teams of both. And if you notice what happened with the Revival share price when the Barrick finance into Midas Gold was announced, the Revival share price actually gained more than the Midas share price did, because it's about 100 miles away, and that share structure is super tight. And I know Hugh's been buying more shares in the open market, and Bear Track looks really, really good. I've been on site. And the Arnett Creek satellite deposit looks very interesting. They're going to be drilling both of those deposits this year, and they'll be having an updated resource announcement in June.
All right. Mickey, you're going to hate this topic because I want your quick opinion, not you first. We'll start with David or somebody. But talking about the majors in this sector, you can label them the bang stocks, Barrick, Agnico, Newmont, and Goldcorp. They are trading at levels that we saw back in 2005. So that shows the lack of interest in the sector. There's not big money in the sector. Should we, David, at least have some majors in our portfolio? And if so, which ones?
No. I don't like majors. There's a big reason why they're trading at those levels. They highly diluted their stock to buy uneconomic deposits back in 2010 and 2011. I'd rather concentrate on the companies I believe that they're concentrating on acquiring. There's more upside. They're easier for me to understand as well. It's very hard for me to value and understand what a major. So I think there's more upside in these developer explorers that have high margin deposits in safe jurisdictions with big land packages and great management teams and tight share structures. I mean, if you do your due diligence right and you know what you're doing, there's a lot more upside in early stage exploration stocks and developer explorers.
Yeah, I guess we are all here for kind of those 10 baggers, as Mickey has pointed out. So look further down the food chain. Mickey, answer that question. Obviously, not too interested in the majors, but what about the majors that do have those equity positions, 20%?
Well, yeah, and so that's the value of the majors. We did a seminal piece in 2015 on the website called The Real Cost of Mining Gold, and we analyzed 7 major gold miners from 2003 to 2014, financial statements, balance sheets, etc. None of those 7 major gold miners were profitable in the greatest boom we've ever seen in the gold price in history. That tells me that they do not run efficient operations. They basically cannot generate enough cash flow to pay their obligations. So how they declare dividends, they either raise equity or go into debt. They make bad acquisitions, but here's why we should value the majors, at least as junior resource speculators, and that's the fact that they keep taking equity positions in good deposits like Steve Quinn's Midas deposit, and Kinross owns a significant portion of Integra 2.0. And Yamana still owns a significant share holding in Bear Track and Revival Gold. So let's value the majors for what they can do for us.
Okay, Brent?
Yeah, I don't really own any majors. The only producing company that Joe and I own is Premier Gold, and that's mostly for its exploration upside.
Okay. We've talked a lot about precious metals here. What about some of these other metals that got the attention of everybody? I'm even on the battery metals panel later. Are you guys focused on any of these other metals? Do you see any opportunities? Brent, you first.
Not per se. I mean, okay. My focus is on any deposit whose cost profile is in the lowest quartile. That's a valuable asset to anybody, and that's I don't care what the metal is. It's just got to be a low cost deposit that a major will want to acquire.
Okay. Hey, Mickey, any other of these? Sometimes you can get really cheap stocks.
Yeah,
here.
So I think the original and the ongoing electric metal, copper, the supply-demand fundamentals are compelling for the near, short, and short to mid to long term. We use 3.4% more copper per year, and we've done that on the planet since 1900. We have 85 million more people on the planet every year. 1/4 of those still go to bed in the dark, and they get up in the morning when it gets light. They don't have electricity. You can't generate electricity, transform electricity without copper. So I'm always looking for good copper projects. The one I cover right now, and I'm a significant shareholder, is Trilogy Metals, arguably the 2 best undeveloped, highest grade, giant copper deposits in a safe geopolitical jurisdiction in the world, and that's the state of Alaska.
All right, David, I get your newsletter. I know that you've traded in and out of some of these stocks and some of these battery metals. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Not battery metals. I stick metals with copper, zinc, silver, and gold. But I would like to do something kind of different here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There's a company here that I'm interested in, and since I'm not a geologist, I'd like to get Brent and Mickey's opinion on it.
Oh, okay.
Because I talked to them at PDAC. They were showing their core there, and it looked really good. I brought a geologist friend to look at it. He really liked it. I like the company. They just raised about $14 million. Mm-hmm. They got a really tight share structure, and they're in one of my favorite jurisdictions right now, Peru, and that's Chicana Copper.
So I have a meeting at 3 p.m. with Chicana Copper. I'm intrigued. It is in an area that I've worked extensively in the late 90s and early 2000s in northern Peru. I've got some tough questions for those guys. This project they're drilling tourmaline breccia pipes, and they're really focused on the high-grade breccia pipes. My questions, these things were drilled multiple times in the past, most recently that I know of in 2006, and I want to know about potential metallurgy. A lot of these breccia pipes can have energite or sulfur salts, copper minerals at the top, which leads to arsenic and antimony penalties. And so I want to learn about the metallurgy, but certainly geologically, this thing is intriguing to me.
All right, Brent, what do you think?
My business partner, Joe Mazumdar, just got back from there on Friday, and he's going to be writing it up in the letter. The company, very solid group of people. Metallurgy, I don't think is an issue. It's basically all chalcopyrite. But the question I've got is this really an exploration story, or is this a mining story? And to me, it's almost a mining story, which means we're not going to be getting. It's not about the drill holes. It's about the geometry of the deposit. It's about where the metal sits in relation to these pipes. That seems to be surrounding it and is zoned within this thing as well. So it's going to be more of a mining story and not a big mine either. So I'm waiting to see what Joe comes up with, but it's not something I'm jumping into. But again, I think we'll see what his conclusion is.
Okay. Brent, let's just throw it over to you. Any companies? What other companies are you looking at that you think people should be aware of?
Here at the show, there's one company I own, and that's Eurasian Royalties. Solid company. They've got 80 prospects, more or less, scattered around 9 countries. They've got 2 paying royalties and a bunch of royalties sitting out there. I think that's one worth accumulating. What else? Outside of that, Evrim Resources, it's gone from 10 cents to $1.25. I was on site there 2 weeks ago. This is really interesting. I've never seen a deposit at surface that looks like it's going to work so well in terms of mining, metallurgy. The question is the third dimension, drill hole, and we haven't got a drill hole, so that's the caution. I would suggest watching it and see what the drill results come back with, but if it's got some depth, this thing is really a good deposit. And a third one I'll throw out there is Mirasol Resources, have some really good grassroots projects in Chile and Argentina, 19 million bucks in the bank. Another one I think is worth accumulating.
All right, Mickey, here's your chance. Give us a couple penny
All
stocks
right,
that we like.
let's go to Nevada and look at a couple of companies that haven't already run up that I think have the potential to do so. First one would be Allegiant Gold, and they have a booth right over here. They are drilling their East Side project right now. We expect about a double in the resource. This is Cordex Syndicate led by Andy Wallace, the geologist responsible for more gold discoveries on the planet than just about anybody that's still alive. He was partnered with John Livermore back in the day with Cordex. John died last year at age 95. The other company would be Ely Gold Royalties, an up-and-coming royalty company, hybrid prospect generator in Nevada with 70 projects, about 20 or 25 that are optioned to juniors right now, and non-producing royalties at this time on another 20 or 25, including some advanced smelter return payments. Company will be cash flow positive this year, and it's currently valued at less than $10 million market cap. We picked this stock in early February at 9 cents. It went to 14 cents. It's now been sold off back down to about 11 cents. Might be a buying opportunity for people that missed it the first time.
Okay, thank you. David?
Okay, go back to Peru here. The Puno Orogenic Gold Belt in Peru. There's a company called Palomina Corporation, run by Andrew Thompson, who used to be CEO of Soltoro, who sold the company to Agnico, I think 2015. And I really like the management team, and I really like the area. The Puno orogenic gold belt is one of the world's least formally explored orogenic gold belts, and there's a modern-day artisanal gold rush happening there right now. And they've only been able to, the artisans can only go 50 to 100 meters, and I think Andrew and his team thinks there's a lot more below there, and they've gathered a really nice collection of deposits. They just raised $2.5 million. They got a tight share structure. I think 39 million fully diluted, and I really like that one. I own it, and I believe Mickey owns it too.
I do own it, and I will put my ideas behind that. This is one of the world's potentially premier areas for discovery. It's in a remote part of Peru. Andrew has assembled a team, ex-Minera IRL, mainly gringo geologists, but with lots of experience in Peru. This could be the next frontier. It's not cheap, trading about 40 cents right now, but very tightly held share structure. So Andrew's done it before with Soltoro Resources. Geological team is top-notch. And so in this one, you're really playing a new company with some upside. That said, it could fail miserably too.
Okay. Hey, that's exploration, though. That's what you get. I noticed a trend here. Both of you recommended a royalty company. So is this a spot that investors should be paying more attention to, or are those just standouts in that whole sector? Brent, you first.
Well, to me, it's just a standout. It's a company I know well. I know the people in it. And I don't know of any other junior company with the possibilities, so many possibilities scattered around the world, and that's with Eurasian.
Okay. Mickey, what about you?
Well, I've owned EMX Royalties, used to be called Eurasian Minerals. I've owned it at least twice in the past. I covered it at least twice in the past. We did very well. And doing what I do, which is go into stocks, pick them up, they double, I sell half, and then I take all my money off the table at some point. I may revisit EMX royalties at some point. In the case of illegal royalties, it's still being valued as a prospect generator. Now it's running a hybrid prospect generator royalty model, much like EMX Royalties runs, and so this would be the chance to get in very early on with a potential royalty company that has upside to its peers, which would be those 50 to $100 million market cap companies. So there's an opportunity there. I know the management quite well at Ely Gold Royalties, and I would dare say that Jerry Bauman is the best prospector slash geologist slash landman in all of Nevada. So I like to follow what Jerry does.
Okay. Hey, that's always a good strategy, right? Follow what some of the smart guys who have made a lot of money before are doing and running their companies. One thing, too, about mentioning all these stocks, right? I've already said how boring this market is. What are some of your outlooks, time frames, that when you're buying a stock right now, you're willing to kind of let it sit there and see the story develop? David.
Well, since the gold price failed to break out and it's now breaking down, we're heading into the summer doldrums, and it looks like it started early. I think that the weather yesterday in Vancouver had a lot to do with people thinking it started early as well. But I'm looking to July is usually a good time to buy juniors, and because that's usually a time when a lot of people are on vacation, things get sold, and December is also a good time for buying juniors because of tax loss selling, and it looks like we might have another boom in tax loss selling this year again. But I don't see the gold price doing much until Q4 at the earliest, Q1 maybe at the latest. So I warned my subscribers about the sector breaking down a few weeks ago and cashed up, and I'm sitting on a lot of cash, and I'm doing a lot of due diligence on a lot of companies and remaining patient with the ones I own.
It's kind of the thing. You have a lot of time right now. There isn't a whole lot of people rushing out and chasing these stocks. make sure you know the story. And if anything, it's quiet here. Go talk to management because they have no one else to talk to right now. So this is a good time. Mickey, time frame on your investments?
Yeah, I don't think gold's going anywhere fast. I gave a talk yesterday. Will the price of gold break out? How, why, and when? I don't see anything happening in this market before Labor Day at the earliest, when we normally see a seasonal uptick in the gold price, mainly driven by the Indian wedding and festival seasons, then followed by the love trade in the U.S. around mid-November to early December, where every one of us needs to go out and buy a gold bauble for our significant others. But that's kind of the time frame for gold for me.
Okay, Brent, time frame?
I'll talk more about what I see out there in the market, which is there's virtually no North American institutional money coming into this sector. And when it does, it's very, very selective. There's money coming out of Europe, but what I find, and this market is dead, there's just no money coming into it on the whole, except we do see maybe half a dozen, eight companies that have just rocketed on news. So the market is ripe for a discovery. Where the money's come from in this sector is major mining companies. They're looking out 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, and they've got nothing to fill it. And they're putting money into, big time, into companies like Mirasol, Almadex, Midas. Oceana's putting money in. I mean, these companies are putting relatively big chunks of money into junior exploration companies to get access to their projects and their expertise. I see that as a really positive thing going on right now.
Why haven't we seen any actual buyouts or significant buyouts?
Because there's not that much good out there.
Okay.
I mean, that's the problem. There really is not that much good out there. You look at a company like Gold Mining Inc. They have, I forget how many ounces they claim they've got, but they're all sub-economic. Yeah. There's no shortage. Newmont, with a $150 increase in the gold price, adds something like 50 million ounces just by increasing the gold price. They don't need any more marginal ounces. They need high quality ounces, and that's why they're going into the juniors.
Yeah, they're being selective. You should too, Mickey.
Oh, this is the old Teck model. This model is not new. This is what Teck did for years before they became Teck Cominco and then Teck again. But this idea where you invest in juniors and they use your money to explore and you have an equity interest. So maybe that model is replacing the old merger and acquisition model. There's certainly less risk for the majors to do that versus going out and spending $2,000 per ounce of gold in the ground at Long Canyon, which destroyed Newmont. So, or destroyed it for a couple of years till they wrote it all off and wash, rinse, and repeat and start over again. So I'm very encouraged by that part of the market, much like Brent is.
Okay, that's the thing. Like, the market is dead, and that's usually a good time to get in if you do believe that it's not going to wash up and blow away, and it doesn't look like it's going to. But at the same time, we're not out there actively buying, and we're about to be hitting summer, so trade the ranges like what Mickey's saying, and be very, very selective. The majors are, you should be too. Don't get sucked into some crazy stories. Understand what's going on and make sure that you're backed by a good team. So, guys, thank you. That was fun. Thanks for sharing your advice.
Thanks, Cory.
If you guys have any questions for them, they're walking around. Again, they have no one else to talk to either.